Endeavour, we talked about earlier, is getting a 6th series, but the 5th series ended this week. The general thing was that Cowley Police Station was sort of under threat. The Oxfordshire Police had become the Thames Valley Police, and in this episode we learned that the station was no more. Everyone was sort of being sent to other stations, so we're not sure the fate of Thursday and Morse and so, you know, will they still be together? Will they still be a partnership? The other sort of story throughout has been the turf war between Eddie Nero and Cromwell Ames, the sort of West Indian character who wants in on Nero's turf. Their story sort of came to a conclusion in a shootout where it also claimed the life of George Fancy, the young officer who had been sort of taken under Morse's wing. Morse had sort of basically pawned scorn on him throughout the series. He'd also started a romance with True Love, the Dakota Blue Richards character, who in this episode was pretending to be Morse's wife, as he was pretending to be a teacher investigating the disappearance of another teacher, Mr. Ivory, at this sort of very exclusive boys' school in Oxford, where all the sixth form students were almost like something from A Clockwork Orange, I would say.
Yeah, or Children of the Corn almost.
Yeah.
Like, everything they did, oh yes sir, and they all spoke.
That's what
almost all spoke at once. It
reminded me of A Clockwork Orange, because they're a bit like that, aren't they? Like rebellious without sort of physically acting on it. And there was almost like a crossover between the two plots, and the reveal here was quite interesting. The perpetrator, the murderer, wasn't someone who was an obvious suspect, in my opinion.
I didn't feel that this was the strongest.
No, I agree.
Single plot line that they've had. The single plot line, you know, the who done it. I feel like what they did with this episode was that they had a real strong, as you said, you know, they had the sort of reveal of a lot of things that have been going on this series. But
and
the
also,
actual who done it in this episode was a bit convoluted.
Yeah. The other story is that Thursday has been considering retiring throughout this series, had lent some money to his brother Phil Daniels in a previous episode, and Phil Daniels has now sort of lost the money, is having to go on the run, and means basically Thursday has to work until he dies now, and his wife Wynne leaves him because of this, you know, him not confiding in her, not asking her if he could give Charlie, I think the brother's name, is the money.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I would agree that this series specifically, there are times when, and I felt that about the first one, and ironically it was the first one and the last one that I kind of felt like I didn't really get gripped by the story, but then some others have been really good, and I think by giving them 6 episodes, what you've allowed them to do is explore more of the character work between the key characters. You know, there's been a lot more about, you know, Morse's grumpiness and his on-off relationships, and
it has been about his sexuality and how he feels about women, and that's been a thread. Like he had a French girlfriend. If it was just 4, they wouldn't have done that. Yeah, no, I agree. You know, you had his relationship with Thursday's niece, who he
the French girlfriend as well. Yeah,
and the French girlfriend in the first episode where they had like the cool girls and things like that. And even in this episode, with him pretending to be married to True Love.
My only problem is the end of the episode was kind of like a you know, we're going to stick together. The 4 detectives, you know, at the end are all going to stick together to solve the crime of who killed Fancy. That's then going to be, I think, believe the plot that's going to go into the next series. I am disappointed we're losing True Love, as far as I know, because she's going off to work at Scotland Yard. But of course, because we don't know what the postings are for the 4 of them, Morse could be posted to Scotland Yard.
That could be a spin-off, True Love.
Exactly, and I know a lot of people that would like that. A lot of people felt her character was underused this series.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, because she almost just became romance fodder for Fancy in a way.
Yeah.
Someone for fancy to fancy, you might say. It was almost a bit of a flat ending. Endeavour, all available on the ITV Hub.